Have you ever playfully asked a woman when she was going to have kids, or jokingly asked a woman why she's childless? If you have, stop it. Hey guys, Tiffany Ofili Porter here, where we discuss all things life after sport. I'm a mother to two amazing children, and although I am so grateful to be in this place, I will never forget the journey that it took to get here after miscarriage and years of tears and crying. So I'm here to share my story, offer some useful tips, and maybe even provide a new perspective. Let's jump into it. When my husband Jeff and I decided that we wanted to start having children, we naively went into it not realizing that many couples actually struggle to conceive, carry, and deliver healthy children. I got pregnant relatively quickly. I did a cute announcement to my husband. We told our parents, and then I went to my typical OB/GYN appointment, like a confirmation of pregnancy appointment. We got the blood work back from that appointment, and I was told that my HCG, also known as the pregnancy hormone levels, were low. And after repeat blood work, told that we essentially had a chemical pregnancy, which essentially is just a really early pregnancy loss. It's not considered a true miscarriage because it happened so early on, but it's still considered a loss nonetheless. Although this loss was very early, we still were devastated because we were so excited. I had already started mentally preparing what my baby was going to be like. We got over that disappointment, and I had what I suspect was another chemical pregnancy shortly thereafter. And then after a few more months, I got pregnant again. This time, I thought it was going to be different. My pregnancy hormones were great, and then the bleeding began at about 6 to 7 weeks. I went in for an ultrasound, and the resident physician saw a fetal heartbeat and told me just to go home and wish for the best. Unfortunately, that pregnancy also ended in miscarriage. And I was yet again left sad, disappointed, and just extremely frustrated with the whole process. Fast forward a few months later, we got pregnant yet again, and that too ended in disappointment. During that time, my husband Jeff was incredibly supportive and optimistic, and I was the complete opposite. I was in a very dark place. I honestly don't even know how I could have gotten through that period of my life without the support of my husband and my dad and my sister and just a few people in my corner really being there to help uplift me. So I'm going to pause right there and ask you, have you ever playfully asked a woman when she was going to have kids, or jokingly asked a woman why she's childless? If you have, stop it. Many of us have made these oversights without even thinking about it. Even me myself, before going through all this loss and disappointment, would just ask kind of cavalierly, hey, when are you guys gonna have kids? Or just, thinking that it was a topic that could be appropriate for a casual conversation. It's not. If my story has been any proof of that, is that you just don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. So I'm not judging you if you've ever made the mistake of asking a woman about her child status. However, if after watching this video, you still choose to partake in those type of conversations, I absolutely will judge you. I'm only halfway kidding about that. Unfortunately, learned through my experiences that you should never, ever, ever womb watch. There are women who are childless by choice. There are women who are unsure if they even want to have children. There are women who cannot have children. And then there are several women like myself who have experienced the pain of pregnancy loss. Regardless of where a woman falls on that spectrum, her privacy should remain honored and her circumstances should be respected. For many women, including myself, these types of questions conjure up a range of emotions from frustration, sadness, hopelessness, and so many other emotions in between. So it's just better to not have those type of conversations. But let's get back into my story, and I'll give you some tips and tricks on how you can have conversations that can be useful for women who are going through loss. My husband Jeff was optimistic as we were trying for a child, and I was resentful. I resented my body. I resented my pregnant friends. I resented sport. I resented my possessions. I resented pretty much everything that could be resented. Looking back now, I do realize that a lot of my resentment was misguided and irrational, but in those moments, I couldn't be told otherwise. Furthermore, as a pharmacist, I understand the science behind most miscarriages and how they are usually associated with chromosomal abnormalities. We are taught that it's nature's way of preventing pregnancy from yielding a child that might not have been healthy. But from a human perspective, it was still extremely difficult to keep on a brave face when you are in the middle of so much loss and you desperately just want a child. Your mind may be telling you one thing, but in those moments, your heart is saying something else. I also want to point out that whether a pregnancy loss occurred at 6 weeks or several weeks later, researchers agree that the grief a woman feels is significant regardless of the length of the pregnancy. So saying things like it was early on, you can just try again, or at least you weren't showing, are not very useful things to say to a woman when she's going through pregnancy loss, even if your intentions are great. At least that was the case for me. So here are 3 suggestions on things that you can actually say to a woman as she's going through a miscarriage or coming out of it or just experiencing loss in general. Number 1, I'm here to talk. Simple, sweet, direct, give her the space that she needs. Number 2, is there anything I can do to help? Number 3, I'm sorry for your loss. Simple, straight to the point, and it gives her the space to talk about it if she wants or not if she wants. With that, understand that everybody processes grief differently, so give the woman the space to kind of feel what she's feeling. If she's like me and doesn't really feel like talking, respect that. If she's like someone else and wants to just pour her heart out and cry and explain what's going on, give her that space as well. Those 3 suggestions I just mentioned are great conversation starters, and it just leaves the onus on the woman to decide how she wants to move in that moment. I am a private person, so many people didn't necessarily know what I was going through during those moments, but the people who were extremely close to me gave me the space and respected my decision to kind of just work through it alone. When I get really sad, sometimes talking about it just doesn't really make me feel better. People who've never experienced pregnancy loss before, also be mindful of platitudes like, that baby wouldn't have been healthy anyway. Yes, that might have been the case, and that's rational. And taking emotions out of it, I could even see why you would think that would be a great thing to say in that moment, but really and truly, it's not helpful. Although that statement might be true, just give the woman the space, the grace, and the time to feel what she's feeling. It is extremely difficult to go through miscarriage, pregnancy loss, especially when you want a child so desperately. So flash forward to the time I finally did get pregnant with my daughter. Obviously at the time I didn't know that this pregnancy was going to be successful. So it was November 2018. My husband and I were in Bermuda and we find out that we're pregnant. Most people would be excited, they'd be celebrating. Not the case with me, especially considering what we had been through in the past. It's a very peculiar place to be. On one hand, you are pregnant after wanting to be pregnant so bad, but then you're so guarded because of your past losses that you don't even allow yourself to enjoy the moment. Unfortunately, that was the case for me for a large portion of my pregnancy with my daughter. I was too guarded to get excited. I even went as far as purchasing a fetal Doppler so I could listen to the baby's heartbeat every single day. Yes, guys, it was that serious. After months of prayer, I eventually allowed myself to be hopeful and dismiss the baggage that I was carrying from those previous pregnancy losses. When this happened, it felt like the heavens opened and I really embraced every single part of my pregnancy from that period on. Thankfully, the pregnancy was very easy and I really did enjoy the latter stages of it more than I even thought I would. So in July 2019, our sweet rainbow baby Chidera Porter was born and our lives changed immediately. In case you didn't know, a rainbow baby is the term coined for a child born after loss, miscarriage, stillbirth, infant loss after pregnancy. It's a rainbow because it signifies hope after a storm. The day you hold your children in your arms for the first time are moments that you absolutely will never forget. And it's just my prayer that I can be the best mom possible to these children that I have been entrusted with. So to anyone out there, please remember to tread lightly when you ask a woman about her child's status. To some people, these discussions might not even be an issue, but to others like me, it can be incredibly triggering and you just don't know where somebody is along their journey. So it's just best practice to avoid those conversations altogether. And if I'm being honest, even now as a mom of two, a 4-year-old, a 6-month-old, these conversations are still triggering to me. Grief is very funny in that way. To any woman out there struggling with infertility, pregnancy loss, stillbirth, or anything in between, I see you. I honor you. I know what you're going through. It is extremely difficult. It really is a terrible club to be a part of. It is my prayer that one day your test will become your testimony and you'll be able to use your experiences to help others. Please keep the faith and stay encouraged. If my experience teaches you anything, it's that joy can come on the other side. To my women out there desiring the fruit of the womb, I'm standing in solidarity with you and I am hoping for you. I'm rooting for you. I hope that you also get your happy ending. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this video. I know it was a bit of a heavy one, but I just had to put it out there because you never know who you might help. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you can join the family where I will be discussing all things life after sport. Until next time, peace.